Good afternoon. It's Alan. It's 2 o'clock. Time for my 10 cents. I want to give you 10 minutes of wisdom. We'll call it wisdom. Last night we had a couple over here. She was struggling because she is on the verge of divorce and sadly never saw her life going that way. Younger girl. Met the guy in junior high school and dated all the way through high school. Got married when they were first starting college. No doubt the vision back then was to spend the rest of their lives together. And 4 years later, after some mental health issues, her husband decided to leave her. The kicker is this. She was struggling. He no doubt has his own version of the truth and she has hers. So what's the reality between that? What's real? It's easy for us to get angry with people or just feel really lost in those situations, but he has his truth and she has hers. So what is her truth? Her truth is she didn't see her life going that way. None of us do. Sadly, my wife and I have been through divorce as well. Didn't imagine marrying some guy who 4 years later is going to turn his back on you and walk out the door. Sadly, Chris and I have been there as well. She thought she was alone and she came over here and sat with two people that are have been in the same boat as her. 62 million couples got married last year. So that's 62 million people who are hoping that their world is going to be wonderful and fantastic, and you don't marry anybody ever thinking that it's going to end. This young lady was struggling, and one of the things that I was most proud of her that she said was, even then when she was struggling with some issues, she recognized it, she went in to deal with it, and she was willing to do whatever it took in order to come out of it a better version of herself. She was willing to do the work. And in this example, she was left devastated by this gentleman who didn't want to do the work. I struggle with that, and here's another statistic that might surprise you. The rate of marriages is actually declining even faster than the rate of divorce. So as long as I can remember, most people have known that 50% of divorces typically marriages typically end 50% of the time in divorce. I mean, that's a statistic that I've known for a very long time. Sadly, what we're realizing now is as a culture, the rate of marriages is declining even faster than that. So fewer and fewer people are actually willing to make the commitment to each other to get married. Now, why is that? Well, it's probably partly to do because 50% of marriages end in a divorce. I mean, when I was single, I told myself that, why get married? 50% of the time it's not going to work out anyway. So why even do it? What I came to for myself was I wanted to be the type of person who made that type of commitment to somebody. And my story is a little bit different than this young lady from last night in that I married more than once, honestly, to people who decided that they didn't want to be married after things started to get a little bit rocky. Well, we talk a lot about relationships or relationships. Your married relationship, your romantic relationship is going to give you the highest highs and the lowest lows of any relationship that you're going to have. But there are also marriages that are really, really strong and really are going really, really well because those people are willing to dig in and do the work when things get hard. Now, what does really hard mean? My guess is if I was to talk to her husband, he didn't sign up for that. I didn't sign up to not have fun. Sadly, in our society, there's a lot of you do you boo kind of stuff going on. The truth of the matter is that's not what a marriage is supposed to be about. That's not what a committed relationship is supposed to be about. When you commit to being with somebody, you commit to be with somebody. The vows that she took resonated with her and more important to her, obviously, than the vows that he took. I continually struggle with people who go to that length to actually get married, say those vows out loud, and then change their mind. That's not a changed my mind kind of a thing. And there is some truth to the fact that the internal circumstances can be changed by external circumstances. There's no fault in having life throw you a curveball. My son and his wife were married 6 months before she found out she had breast cancer. He didn't sign up for that, neither did she. But they loved each other, they were committed to each other, and they loved each other through the survival of even cancer and came out of it a stronger couple. So I don't know statistically which marriages end more readily, the younger ones or the older ones. For the sake of this conversation, it doesn't really matter. Don't talk about it, be about it. For me, in this context, is if you're going to make a vow, you're going to make a commitment. You do everything you can to make that commitment work. Other side of that, you while you're in it, not obligation, but what you're supposed to do for each other is make that a desirous situation. So if there's conflict, which there's always going to be conflict in every relationship, there's going to be conflict, then you figure out a way around that. My wife and I, we had an argument just a few weeks ago, and the truth of that was, when you're in the middle of it, the best thing in the world to do in all of these situations that we talk about is pump the brakes, figure out, okay, what's going on here? What's the trigger? What do we need to do differently? How do we prevent that from happening again? And you talk your way through that, because at the end of the day, you went into that relationship with the strong intention to make that relationship amazing. And what that means is in a married relationship, that means taking care of each other's needs, not out of obligation. Don't marry somebody who you don't want to make feel amazing. Marry somebody who you want to make feel amazing, and when they don't feel amazing, be there for them then as well, because that's what love and commitment really is. So I talk often about how relationships are relationships. You can use that same level of commitment as you look towards your work relationships, or mostly the relationship you have with yourself. I mean, most of the best things in life that I've ever experienced came from me being hit in the face with something to a point where you have to analyze, whoa, what just happened here? I just got the breath knocked out of me. What happened? What part of that do I own? What part of that do I not own? There are basically 7 things in life that I believe you have to find balance in. You're talking about your finances, how much money you have in the bank. I mean, we talked before that is a real safety. If you don't have your finances in line, you don't even feel safe. So that's a very important one. Your field is very important as well. I mean, where do you work? Do you feel like you're contributing? Are you growing? Believe it or not, it's important to love what you do. Even if you have to do what you have to do full time and do what you want to do part time, there are ways to do both. And then eventually, hopefully, your part time stuff that you really love to do can overcome that. So, and be the thing you do full time. Your relationships you have for family and friends, that's what we're talking about as well. I mean, if you want a good relationship, you nurture a good relationship. And the thing that's different, I think, with married couples and families is when I've argued with my brothers in the past, there's no choice to him not being my brother. He's still my brother. So, but for whatever reason, people who get married and feel like there's still an exit there and I can still just change my mind, that's not supposed to be that way. If you're making that commitment, you have adopted that person into your family. And the relationships you have with friends and family mean more than any other relationships you'll ever have, because those are the ones that are supposed to be your soft place to fall. So fun, how much fun are you having in your life? I mean, that's an important thing. Some people don't schedule any fun. My wife and I do a good job of balancing how much time we're spending working and how much time we're having fun. And that leads to the relationship that we have. I mean, it's all, you put a little bit of this in there, you put a little bit of that in there, and all of a sudden you mix it all up and you get the relationship that you've designed to be awesome. And then your fitness. We talk often about the fact that I was a trainer for a long time. I took a lot of joy in helping people reach that goal. well, what you really find is being a personal trainer is it's mostly limitations that people put in their heads. I can't do that. I don't want to sacrifice on that. The truth of the matter is you got to get to where, what is it worth to you? What is it worth to you? And we talked about that before as well. There's things that we want and there's things that we really, really want. I mean, I really like craft beers, but I also don't want to have a body that looks like I really love craft beers. You know what I'm saying? So you got to find a balance there. The fact of the matter is that we talk a lot about you are the author of your story. So you're writing the book. You have the pen. You are the hero of this whole story. There are people out there that can guide you along the way that have been there for... So what? Oh, sorry. I'm over my 10 minutes. I get a little rambly sometimes. So my executive director of logistics just let me know that I'm going a little over. I get very passionate about relationships. So if you're in one that you're challenged with, or if you just want it to be something different than what it is, reach out to me. I've been there. I've been in the mud. If nothing else, I can be someone that you can talk to. So live the life that you're designed to live. You deserve it. And I'm here for you.